everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and great to have you all here today joining us. And my friend Marcelina Olan returns to join us.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Coming to the end of a very hectic week, a very hectic day. Um, and just trying to get a lot done in advance of the holiday. How about you, Marcelina? You good? Okay,
I
Marcelina.
am doing, I have a little delay.
I got it.
I'm
Okay.
good. I have a little delay.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Marcelina and I are go back a ways for people who don't know and don't recognize Marcelina from our days at the Tom Jordan Morning Show. And Marcelina is one of the dearest and one of the funniest people I know, as well as one of the most talented. Not only with her voice and her humor, but also she's a bit of a chanteuse as well as an incredible cook. Marcelina has a business, and tell people what the name of your business is, Mars.
It is pretty tasty cakes and pastries.
You just I'm not sure if everybody heard that. So repeat. Can you repeat the name of the business?
Pretty tasty cakes and pastries.
That was better. Okay. All right. Cool. And how's business?
Business is going just fine.
Is it better? Is it improving as time goes on?
It is improving as time goes on.
Okay. Okay. Tell people about the types of cookies that you provide.
We we provide.
Your skill in making cookies. It's one particular type of cookie. We call them crack cookies.
It is called the crack cookie. It is a butter pecan cookie. It's amazing, and you can find it on Ireland's Kitchen in Dallas, Texas.
Okay. All right. And how can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook and Pretty Tasty Cakes and Pastries.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So, Marcelina, we are going to continue our conversation. I'm very excited today, not only to have you, but also to have a friend to the Tom Jordan Morning Show. Her name is Sophia Nelson. She is a noted attorney, journalist, an author, and a political commentator. And you may have seen her on a number of news programs over the years. And she is here today to talk to us about her latest book, and it's called Be the One You Need, 21 Life Lessons. I haven't gotten through all of the life lessons in this wonderful book, but I think that she will add to the conversation, and especially for those of us who are still going through some things post-pandemic, post-quarantine. Maybe we're not even out of the pandemic, but definitely post-quarantine. All right, Marcelina, so let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is the news that we have in our newsletter. This is our free, absolutely free subscription. Please go to sybilwilkes.com to subscribe. And when you give us your name and your email address, we will have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning, first thing. And as I said, it is free. We just love to have you and be a part of the What You Need to Know news crew. And as a result of what we do, it is from the Tom Jordan Morning Show, where we learned about super serving the African American community. And this is really important that we talk about what is going on in the world from the African American perspective. And so the first thing that we talk about in today's newsletter is about Mrs. Clarence Thomas, Ginny Thomas. Are you familiar with what the shenanigans that are going on with Mrs. Thomas, Marcelina? Well, I will tell you.
I am not. Why don't you fill me in,
Okay.
please?
Hopes have dimmed for the voluntary interview with Virginia Thomas. She told folks at the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th riot that she would love to go and talk to the members of the committee about what she knew and in detail, perhaps, about her text and emails. Text with Mark Meadows, who was the chief of staff for Donald Trump, as well as the man who was the mastermind behind all of this. And she had emails there with him talking about changing the outcome of what was the legal election. And she was one of the big supporters of overturning the election results as they were with Joe Biden winning. So all of a sudden she's made a 180-degree turn, and she has decided that her attorney, speaking on her behalf, has said that he's not so sure that she's going to need to go to appear to speak before them, and he doesn't understand the need to speak with Mrs. Thomas. Well, as I mentioned, she's as a conservative and activist as we know in the world of Donald Trump, and because she had these texts with Mark Meadows going back to the election, if not before, up to January 6th, and talking with the people that were trying to overturn the election, the man who was behind the day of January 6th, and talking to him by email. But now she's decided, and her attorney has said that no, we're not going to do this. So, as I mentioned, she was talking to John Eastman. He's a guy who was a part of Donald Trump's inside group of people, and he was the man who was behind this, and he is not talking to them as well. So a lot of this, Marcelina, is, she said through her conservative newspaper that she was going to she would love to go and talk to the committee. Now her attorney says no, and he doesn't understand why. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that since her husband, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and his fellow conservatives have come out with these decisions that have really turned our country upside down, and they are not suffering, but they are the objects of a lot of anger. And because their safety is of concern to some people, they say that they and their families as well, and certainly Virginia Thomas would be one of those people. They're reluctant to have her come and speak before the committee. So with this in mind, Marcelina,
No,
I'm sorry.
I just think, at this point, they're untouchable anyway. At this point, I think they're untouchable anyway. Go ahead, keep speaking your mind. What are they gonna do, really? They overturn what they want to overturn. They do what they want to do. Go ahead, live your life.
I'm not sure that go ahead, live your life is the answer. Especially because there's so much at stake and they're still trying to get so much information. She is obstructing justice in effect. So I can't say go ahead, live your life, but I can say that she should, just in the name of justice, unless she knows that what many of us think is that what she did was so horrible that she needs to come forth and tell them all and give as much information as she can. Then that's what we need to push for. We, as if I'm a member of the committee. I feel so invested in this because I watch it so much. I feel invested, Marcelina, but it was this woman is so I don't even have the words to describe her, but she just really ticks me off. And that's being nice, because I don't want to use words that are defamatory.
Oh,
All right, so moving on in our What You Need to Know newsletter, let's talk about the COVID updates. We give COVID updates every day, still in the newsletter, and the FDA is recommending updating the COVID booster shots for the fall. At least some U.S. adults may get the updated shots this fall, as the government advisors voted this week that it's time to tweak the booster doses to better match the most recent virus variants. Now, full disclosure, Marcelina, can you tell people how you feel about the COVID shots and the boosters? I don't know if you can even if it's a delay or if you can even hear me. Marcelina is one who is not entirely in favor of the booster shots, but advisors to the Food and Drug Administration have wrestled with how to modify the doses, and there's no real way to know how rapidly the mutating virus will evolve by fall, and especially since people who get today's recommended boosters remain strongly protected against the worst outcomes. But they are trying to take some of the worst of the Omicron variant and incorporate that in the next shots because they do feel that a surge will occur in the fall into the winter, that we are not totally beyond COVID. And so, we will hopefully get some more information about that. And also, this is in terms of the time that we are now allowing. The government is now has the wherewithal and the shots to help our babies, those under the age of 5. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. If people are going to continue to get the boosters, if some people are going to allow their children to get the boosters, especially those under the age of 5. We have 6 months to 5 years of age are now getting their appointments or going in to get their shots for COVID-19. Marcelina, we were trying to get your thoughts on this because you do have a strong opinion about the COVID vaccine,
I do.
and now we
I
can't hear
feel
you.
like for adults, I mean, it's your absolutely your choice. I really don't
Okay, we'll
think
try this
it.
again.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me?
This we're gonna go to this next story. I don't hear her, so maybe if other people can hear her, I will continue talking about the Connecticut Police Department. They have given another
Sybil,
police
Sybil,
department
hold on for a second.
has
Let's get this
given a
right.
black man the Freddie Gray treatment.
Sybil, can you
His
hear
name
me?
is Richard Randy Cox, a 36-year-old black man arrested in New Haven, Connecticut. The police arrested him on June 18th for allegedly carrying a firearm at a block party. They arrested him, and the video shows him being thrown headfirst into the back of a van. During an abrupt stop, he hit the wall of the van. And after arriving at the police station, he was still lying on the floor of the van and could be heard telling officers that he could not move. The officer said, "You drank too much. And did you have any drugs or alcohol? How much did you have to drink?" And so this went on and on. And when he got to the hospital, he was unable to move. They just kind of dropped him into a wheelchair and proceeded to go through their process of arresting him through the arresting process. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump has joined the legal team, and they held a press conference on his behalf, and they have the video, and you can see what happens. But because of thank God he survived this, as opposed to what happened with Freddie Gray in Baltimore a few years ago. But this is just another awful uh, incidents of police mistreatment of a black man in the back of this van, and they did not, they put him back handcuffed. They put him in the back of this van. They did not strap him in, no seatbelt or nothing. And so, and as they drove, and as what can happen when you're not strapped in, and you have no way to balance yourself in the back of this van. They showed him, and showed that he was absolutely just a horrible statistic in the way that they are treating.
Hey, I can't hear. Hey, Sybil, your mic is muted.
This is just crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I think Venus is in retrograde.
Marcelina is muted.
As we welcome our friend to the Tom Dorner Morning Show and continued on, Sophia Nelson. Sophia has a new book, and it is called Be the One You Need 21 Life Lessons Learned While Taking Care of Everyone But Me. Sophia, it is so great to see you and to talk to you. I see you a lot on television, but it's great to talk to you. Thank you for joining us.
So first, let me make sure, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Everyone can see me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I want to make sure because I want to make sure our time is well spent and your audience hears. Sybil, do you mind if I comment on a few of the things that you had in your news?
I would love it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Marcelina, that we couldn't hear from you. I'm sure you have a good perspective, and I wanted to hear you. But I had a couple comments. You brought up Clarence and Jenny Thomas. Of course, I know them both well, having been in the Republican Party for many years before I became a never Trumper, and that was early on when I suspected he was going to win the primary back in 2015. But I think you're right. I think that one of the problems I have with this committee right now, and I think they're doing a great job as someone who was a committee counsel, is that at some point, Sybil, the Democrats, the President of the United States, and the Attorney General have to make a decision if they're going to hold people accountable. Why is Donald Trump still walking the streets? Why is Jenny Thomas still walking the streets? Pat Cipollone's been subpoenaed. White House counsel. That's going to be interesting to see if they can get above the privilege threshold of attorney-client privilege. But Jenny Thomas has direct knowledge. Her husband sits on the Supreme Court and is ruling on a new case that's going to come up before them, has to do exactly with voting rights and election issues.
Yeah.
So I think the country's in a very serious place of division. I think we're in a very serious place of political rancor, and a Supreme Court in Article 3 branch of the Constitution. You've got Article 1, the Congress, Article 2, the presidency, and Article 3, Supreme Court.
Right.
And the judges, and that third branch is kind of the guardrails, right? They're the people that we trust to be the adults in the room. Those are the people that have lifetime terms so that they're not influenced by politics. And we've never seen anything like what this Supreme Court has just done. It is off the chain what they've done. They've obliterated the right for you to have your rights read when the police stop you now. They've limited Miranda. You can't sue if he doesn't read you your rights after he bashes your head in.
Right.
They have now said that abortion is illegal. They've overturned Roe, and now it's going to be on the Dobbs, Mississippi standard. Then they just gutted the EPA today and regulations to protect climate and safety and environmental regulations. Guns, you can now walk around like you're in the Wild Wild
like
West
you're in
Dodge
Texas,
City,
everywhere.
in Texas, right? And just shoot folks if you whatever. That's where we are. That has nothing to do with the Constitution, folks. In case you're confused, don't be. That has nothing to do with the Constitution. That has to do with judicial activism, which is something that is expressly prohibited by our Constitution and our founding documents.
But here's the frustrating part, Sophia. What can we do about this?
Well, we get to vote in the fall of 2022, and I will say, former Republicans like myself, moderate centrists who were like, those Jack Kemp, Christy Todd Whitman, George Herbert Walker Bush Republicans that don't exist anymore. We have to line up with other centrist Democrats and progressives, and we have to kind of come together and say, okay, before we can get into our differences of what we don't agree on, we do agree that we want to preserve democracy.
Right.
We do agree that we want to save this republic, and we never want Donald Trump anywhere near the White House again or the nuclear codes. And I think if we can all just align on the fact that democracy is at risk, that voting rights are at risk, that the republic's at risk, then it forces us to build coalitions. Politics makes strange bedfellows, right? So if we can appreciate that and just come together like Liz Cheney is a very, very good friend, very conservative. We don't agree on a lot.
Right.
But right now, Liz Cheney's a firewall.
She's a superhero.
Benny Thompson are amazing. Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney, there couldn't be a starker contrast.
Right.
She's a descendant of Puritans that came over on the Mayflower. He's a descendant of slaves from Mississippi, right? So yet
that's
two
the
people,
beauty of our country.
That's right. And that's what we need to align behind and stop all this bickering and fighting. Let's fight about the stuff what we don't like or whatever later, but we got to preserve the country or we won't be able to fight about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you're absolutely right, and you are, you're preaching to the choir here, Sophia. But it is so frustrating, as you said, so many things that have been overturned and changed just in this last term by the Supreme Court, and it is judicial activism, and
Yes.
that's not what they're there for.
Yes, that's right. And again, I think the president, I'm frustrated. I've known
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden for a long time. I was an intern in the Senate back in the dark days of the late 1980s. And I remember meeting him. He was a senator then, and he's a guy who likes to work across the aisle. He's a
Mm-hmm.
consensus builder. And that's
Mm-hmm.
a good thing, but not in this moment.
Right.
We don't need a president that's going to try to outreach to people that you reach out a hand, they're going to cut your hand off. Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz and Hawley and these people are not playing. They're very serious about, they're committed. We just watched 50 years of legal precedent be overturned by a radicalized Supreme Court. And I'm
Right.
saying this as somebody who's pro-life, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I also respect another woman's right to make a
Choice.
different decision because I'm pro-liberty first,
Mm.
pro-America first, pro-country first. So I think that Biden needs to get tougher. And if the Democrats don't get it together and start, they said in the movie, The Untouchables, when he says, if he brings a knife, you bring a gun.
Right.
At some point, there has to be a point where you say, I'm not going to let you push me around like this. And if you keep this up, I'll add more seats to the Supreme Court. I'll do what I can do by the powers invested in me under Article 2. And he hasn't been willing to do that, which is unfortunate.
Marcelina, have you been engaged as a result of some of these Supreme Court decisions, and especially as we talk about the overturn of Roe versus Wade?
Oh, I heard about the Roe versus
And
Wade. I
you're
was able to
muted,
look
I
into
think,
that. I
Marcy.
did. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can't hear for whatever reason. Sophia is hearing you,
I can
and
hear.
and I can't. I don't know what the problem
Okay.
is there. Okay, all right.
What?
So go ahead and talk to Sophia. Give us your opinion.
Well, I listened to what you said, Ms. Sophia, and I totally understand and agree. I mean, when Sybil asked, like, what should we do? I absolutely believe we should fight, but it's almost like we're up against an organized crime organization. They're gonna do what they want to do, and it's not like we should lay down. But to me, it's just like to find out the things that they're doing and they're able to do. And the judicial system is supposed to be the ones that executive these laws. It's almost like we're in a losing battle in every single way, because like, how can you fight against somebody that can overturn these types of laws? And it's almost like democracy is going to hell in a handbasket.
Well, I think look, you make a good analogy that this is like a mafia crime family. It really is. And if you think about the way that the committee has gone about their business and this particular young lady, this Cassidy Hutchinson lady that just testified, when you listen to the stuff she described, it sounds nothing like a White House with a president of the United States with adults around him. It sounds like a madhouse, like a frat house, like with a psycho running around who has no
A psycho dad.
boundaries. Yeah, a
Yeah.
psycho dad. He's off the chain, and so the tools that we have at our disposal, I think we're trying to use them. The problem is this: if you go back to Watergate and the impeachment hearings back in 1972 when Nixon and the break-in, the Republicans on that committee were patriots. They voted for the articles of impeachment along with the Democrats. They weren't defending Nixon. They weren't saying what he did was okay. They weren't on Fox News 24 hours a day going, this isn't real, this is imaginary, this is just a witch hunt. The problem now is we have a whole news network
Mm-hmm.
and tens of millions of Americans who listen to right-wing talk radio and everything else who completely don't even believe that this is real, who say
Right.
that January 6th was just people going up to the Capitol being peaceful. Like, it's gaslighting in its most extreme form. So the real problem that we have right now is misinformation and disinformation and the gaslighting that rational people begin to say, well, wait the hell a minute. I watched that with my own eyes.
Right.
And then
Right.
they're telling you another way, that didn't happen. Those were peaceful people. They didn't do anything. I mean, you can't, if you're dealing with people who are operating like that, you're not dealing with people who are operating in good faith. And that's why we're having such a very difficult time navigating this, because a whole party The Republican Party refuses to hold Donald Trump and those that did what they did accountable. 147 members of Congress between the Senate and the House didn't vote to certify the election.
Right.
I mean, think about that. On January 6th, these people were part and parcel of the insurrection. They were.
So, and here's the crazy thing, Sophia, talking about that day when we have evidence of people like the minority leader in the House, McCarthy, and going crazy, telling them what to tell the president to stop this, make it stop, make it go away, talk to the people, and then he got at a 180-degree turn that very day by so many of those people, including Mitch McConnell and others, and not voting to make this election what it turned out to be. And it's just that gaslighting is in full effect and continues. We're talking 18 months later.
It's doing great damage, not just to the country. It's doing great damage to our young people, to our institutions, to our families. Families are fighting. People and families not talking. People in your community who used to consider neighbors that you'd like to drink wine with, I said, now you like they're crazy. I'm not trying to go near them.
Right.
And so we're very divided on this point. And I just thank you for allowing me to weigh in. I didn't want to be on here with you and not weigh in on some of the stuff you have, particularly with the AV issues you're having today.
Let me ask you, is there hope?
Absolutely.
Are you hopeful?
Look, yes, this is the great United States of America. You and I have talked about this before, Sybil. The problem is twofold. We have a great constitution, a great document. The problem is we're in the 21st century and we're being governed by an 18th century document. Okay,
right.
That's the first problem. Secondarily, we need to deal with term limits. We've got to get money out of politics. The problem is good people who want to run for office. I'm one of them. Step back and say, shit, I don't know if I want to do that because I'm putting myself at risk, my family at risk. I don't know what kind of crazy is going to come at me. I got to raise $50 million for a job that pays me $170,000, which is less than the money I make now in the private sector. And you have to ask yourself, like, why would I do this to myself? And that's what happens. The good people who would make great public servants, who are honest, have integrity, and really would get some things done, they don't want any part of this process because it's run by people like Mitch McConnell and others. It's not just all Republicans that are bad. They're mostly bad, but there's some shady Democrats too.
Yeah.
At the end, and that's not both sides of them. Please don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that.
They're both good people on both sides.
No, I want to say that. What I want to say is the system is corrupt. The system is broken. And when you get on the Hill, Sybil, what you realize is that there's really one political party. And that's the political party of all of them against all of us. They do what's in their best interest to get reelected. That is not how this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
And so I think that there is hope, but we the people are going to have to rise up and say, we're changing some stuff. We're demanding some stuff. Because at the end of the day, we can vote people out anytime we feel like it. And the problem's in what I call the lazy middle. Right now, the country's being run by radical fringes. Far right, far left. And the other 60% of us or 55% of us to sit in the center left, center right, we don't vote. We don't participate. We're disengaged.
Right.
And then we're angry when stuff turns out the way it turns out. We got to do better than that.
Yeah, I think you are a brilliant political mind, as well as I look forward to whatever office you're going to run for, because I'm there for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I do.
Let's talk about your book, Sophia, because I think that just as great a proponent you are for political justice and what is right in this country, you are also a great voice for doing right by ourselves and taking care of ourselves. Be the one you need. 21 life lessons I learned while taking care of everyone but me. And I put that little emphasis on there, but that's the way I read it, Sophia. And tell people how this book came about as a result of what affected all of us, but this pandemic affected you to the point you felt the need to write about it and to share your story.
Right. Sybil, again, you've been doing every book I've ever written with me since Black Woman Redefined, Dispelling Myths and Discovering Fulfillment in the Age of Michelle Obama, which was a book about the stereotypes and the damning definitions that often are hurled at us as Black women. So hold on to that for a minute and fast forward to be the one you need. What I'm saying to us, and let me talk to sisters for a moment, because I know that your audience has a good number of African American women and men, because our men need to practice good mental, emotional, relational, spiritual health care, and health awareness and self-awareness too. But as Black women, I think we were uniquely impacted by this pandemic in some very deep and disturbing ways. If you break it down, we are the most likely to be in the business of janitorial jobs, care jobs, in nursing home jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We're the caretakers, not just in our own communities, but in this country, and our Latino sisters as well, right?
Right.
So you don't see a lot of our white sisters kind of on those front lines in those ways, unless you go to some rural parts of this country in the deep South, where you have a lot of poor working class white folks too. And then there's a bit of an equalization. But the point I'm making is, so not only were Black women dealing with everything everybody else was dealing with in our community, people didn't want to take the vaccines. People had worries because of things like the Tuskegee experiment, that, you know, they were going to give me something that was going to make me sick, or it wasn't going to be right because of racism. And so you had all of that, but then you had women trying to figure out, how do I homeschool my kids now? How do I make ends meet when I've lost my job, or I've been laid off, or the government's giving us checks, but they're sporadic? It was a really tough time for everybody. But the Black community, as you know, when the world gets the flu, you know what we get? We're in the hospital on
A
life support.
Yep.
So it for me, now I'm lucky, I'm blessed. I didn't fall in the category I talked about, you know, and in terms of economic security, etc. But what I found myself, as many of us did, was we had to care for parents. We had to take care of ourselves. There's children, there's family, there's aunts, uncles, and you know what we do as Black women? The way we are socialized is to take care of everyone but us.
Right.
That is as old as time. You've heard your grandmama say it. You heard everybody, your mama say it. Girl, don't worry me with that. I'm fine. And that's our favorite thing to say, I'm fine, when we're really not fine. And I woke up one day with COVID, deathly ill. I got it very early on in February 2020. And I was very ill. And
that was your first battle with
that
COVID.
was my first bout with it, pre-vaccine. And it really made me have to reflect and say, as I was laying in a hotel with 104-degree fever, because I was in Indianapolis speaking, en route coming from Baton Rouge, where I had given the speech, which is where I contracted it. And thank God for sorors who were there, who were doctors and in the healthcare profession, and could take care of me in a hotel. And I was worried that I was going to die in that hotel and not see my family again, and not do the things I wanted to do. And I really had to ask myself 3 questions that I want all of you to ask yourselves often. First question is, what do I want? What do I want from my life and my living? Number 2, what do I need? What things am I missing in my life? Because wants and needs are different, y'all. They're very different. And you got to be clear about that. What I need is something that feeds my soul. It nourishes me. It heals me. It makes me feel alive. And then there's the final question, which is, how am I feeling? Black women, when is the last time you asked yourself, how do I feel? What do I need?
Right.
What do I want? And we don't do that because we're not allowed to do it. Because somebody lied to us a long time ago and told us we couldn't do it.
Right. So let me ask you, Marcelina, because this is why I'm really glad you're here today, because Marcelina has gone through a number of challenges, including her business as well as health and things like that. Marcy, are you familiar with asking yourself these questions in terms of what Sophia has asked? What do I want? What do I need? And how do I feel?
I'm not being truthful. Like, I can't say I've asked myself, what do I truly want, or what do I truly need in the way that she's described it. I am learning to understand the last question, like, what can I do for myself? I'm learning to protect my own peace, and that's a part of the 21 things I guess you can do for yourself. So that mental aspect is the one thing that drives the rest of it. First and foremost for me, like, I had to learn, because I'm like she said, we worry about taking care of other people first. And I had to, what I want is someone to give me the same support system that I provide to
Ditto.
others.
Ditto.
So
Reciprocity.
yeah, and in recognizing that, I had to learn, well, you know what? I need to push back. And in order to push back, I have to learn how to take care of me first. So
Me
I'm
first.
very good now at let me stop. That doesn't concern me. It doesn't create a peaceful space in my mind. I had to learn that the space in my mind is rent free only for me. And I can't worry about everything that someone else needs because they don't live here. And I'm the one that has to deal with the aspects of what happens when I protect them and I'm not being protected, and all of the little voices and the little after effects that I have to deal with to make me whole again in order to go out and get the things that I want, in order to go out and get the things that I need. So I had to learn that aspect first.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I think Marceline is dead on there, that mental health, that emotional health. What I'm saying to us as human beings, not male, not female, not black, not white, is this. If you didn't learn in 2020 through present, right now, 2022, that you're a mere mortal, you're not going to be here forever, your life is
Mm.
fragile, that you're not Superman, you're not Superwoman, you don't have a cape, that you are just a human being and not a human doing. If you didn't figure that out in these last 2 years, you missed it. And you missed the lesson of focusing on those things that truly matter in your life: joy, peace, happiness, loving on your family, and actually spending time with those that you love instead of always having your face in a phone, or always working, or always working, or always working. And there was a time, I'm old enough to remember, Sybil, so are you. There was a time when we were growing up, you sat at the table and had dinner at a certain
Yes,
time with your
ma'am.
family.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
that phone rang, your mama would roll her eyes like, I dare you to pick up that phone, because the phone was hanging on the wall in the
Right.
kitchen.
That's right.
And or your father gave you the look and you're like, okay. And so, we didn't mess with family time. We came home, we did our homework, we latchkey kids, we're doing all this stuff. It was a different world. It was slower. We had a rhythm. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but what I'm saying is we were better connected as people. We spent times as communities and as families and as friends and as neighborhoods. Whereas now, these kids don't even want to go outside.
Right.
They in with
Right.
their device and this stuff. You can't get them out the house. So
And I dare you to name, like I can still on the block that I grew up on, every neighbor in whose house was there.
absolutely right. And your parents knew where you were. And if they didn't
And that
know, and if
street
you
light came
acted out,
on.
Mrs. Jones told your mama, Mrs. Jones swatted your butt, then your mama swatted your butt. And all I'm saying is, I'm making the point that we have a lot on us now that past generations simply didn't. That's why our young people are dealing with so much suicide in elementary school. The violence that these babies are subject to, not just kids in the inner city that we blow off because they need mental health and care too that we don't give them, but I'm talking about these kids in Uvalde or places like Sandy Hook or Parkland, and places where it's not supposed to happen in areas like that. The violence has come to visit us at the grocery store, at the church house. So all of us are walking around very aware that we're really in a state where at any moment anything could happen. And that's a hard way to live and have peace and have joy and have the ability to really take care of yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And life or death has, let's go to, we have Annette Brandy on Facebook says, for 2024, Sophia A. Nelson for 2024. I absolutely agree with you. I could not agree more. At this, as you're looking back at this book, because you are a prolific writer, that's what you are. You're a journalist, you're a writer, and you have written, what is this, your
This
fifth
is my
book?
fourth book.
Fourth book. Okay. So was there a moment, did you, in an Oprah like way, did you have an aha moment where you needed to say, what I have gone through, I need to share with people?
Well, it's funny that you brought up Oprah, because I talk about in the prologue, if you've read the prologue to the book, and I think everybody read the prologue online. Amazon's out of stock right now. Don't let that freak you out. There's Target, there's Walmart, there's Books a Million.
Books a Million.
You can get a book. So don't let Amazon work your nerves. But at the end of the day, Oprah was the catalyst. And I had a chance to write her and tell her about that, which is Oprah's last book, What Happened to You, is something everybody should read, because she simply turns on its head the question that we all ask ourselves, which is, what's wrong with me? Why do I do this? Why did I make this choice? Why did I marry this person? Why did I do? What's wrong with me? And we beat ourselves up, we shame ourselves, we guilt ourselves instead of asking, well, wait a minute. The why is, well, what happened in my life, or
And not just my life.
Yes,
Not just my life.
There you go. It's the external forces. It's the family that I opened the book with talking about. Your family is something you never escape, whether it was good, bad, indifferent, not there, whatever it was. You spend your whole life trying to deal with those generational curses and the drama, or maybe you were blessed and you had a really healthy, loving, good family. God bless you, because that's rare. And I think that all families have challenges because there are no perfect people. But when you have the courage, Sybil, to look at your life and say, I got some work to do on me. Forget about everybody else around me, because it's real easy for us to point the finger at others and say, well, this person did this and this, that. As I said in this book, I'm changing. Right. And when I change and I focus on me and I stop trying to save people, fix people, lend people money, build people up, care more about people than they care about themselves, and I focus all that energy on me, there's a healing that takes place in you that makes you powerful in ways you can't imagine.
You hear, Marcelina? You are speaking. You are speaking. And all the Marcelinas that are out there listening right now, Sophia, you are speaking. I can't tell you how great this is to have this opportunity to talk to you. The book is called Be the One You Need, 21 Life Lessons I Learned While Taking Care of Everyone But Me. Sophia, thank you so much for not only talking about the book, but for coming in when we were having technical difficulties.
I love you, Seb. I wanted to save you there because it wasn't going well. I was like, let me in. Let me talk about this. Let me in.
And I really appreciate that. I appreciate you. I know you got family to get to and talk about some other things, but please come back, Sophia.
I will.
And I absolutely adore you.
All right, you too. And Marcelina, nice to meet you. Keep your head up. You got a good thing going. You send me some of them crack cookies you got.
We will make sure that happens, my friend. And once again, the book is called Be the One You Need. You can get it at Amazon.
Right there. That's what it looks like.
There you go. And go to Target, go to Books
Walmart,
A Million.
Amazon, Books A Million. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
And you are everywhere too. We appreciate you taking the time.
Take you,
care,
ladies.
Sweetie. Bye-bye.
God
bless you. Thank you.
See, Sybil, that's why I love you. That's why you introduce me to people and things that, sometimes you will probably never even understand or pass you might not cross. She speaks to my soul. She spoke to my spirit with just the title. And I haven't even read the book, which I'm definitely going to get. But she spoke to my soul. It absolutely would. It really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Marcelina, that you will see as you read this book what a difference. And as she said, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what kind of family you were brought up in, what kind of family you have now. It all starts at some point, and you've got to look not only at yourself, but it goes back to generational investigations of your lives and how your parents got here and how you got here and where you are today.
Yeah, I'm recognizing that, and I've just gone through that, and actually it happened just like you said during COVID. Like a lot of stuff came to realization to me, and those generational curses are there, and it's nothing I can do about the past. But just like she said, it starts with me. I have to change me first, and then maybe some of those things can be rectified. But
it all starts here.
It all starts with me, and then you can attack the generational curses and try to change other people or motivate them at least to change the things that they haven't changed so that it doesn't continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcelina, let's talk some trending topics. Did you happen to see the history being made today? Swearing. Oh, that's right. That's right. Because you are a night person and you work at night. And I don't mean that kind of night worker. Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in as the first Black female justice of the Supreme Court.
Awesome.
It was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome, Marcelina. It happened just as her mentor, the man that she once clerked for, Stephen Breyer's, his term came to an end at noon Eastern time. And just as his term ended, and he said, once we hand down all these decisions, I'm done. And so that's what happened. He went and turned around and was a part of her swearing in ceremony. There are two oaths that were given, one by the Chief Justice, John Roberts, and the second by Stephen Breyer. It was very powerful, and to have her husband there holding the Bibles and as she was sworn in with her daughters there. And I feel optimistic, although the Supreme Court has given me nothing to fit this particular term, and the decisions has given me nothing to feel optimistic about. I promise you. But we will see what happens. I think that, and as I wrote in the newsletter for tomorrow, I think that her life experiences, her powers of persuasion, her personality, and her ability to work both sides will
Mm-hmm.
be a great part of her journey as well as her legacy. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get some of these jokers out of the
I
Supreme
know.
Court, and namely the other black person on the court. But it is going to be
Is he black?
interesting.
Is he black? Are we sure? Are we sure about that? Are we sure? Are we?
Are we sure is the question. That is
We
the
we
question.
definitely need to keep her lifted up because I can't even imagine
Yeah.
what she's gonna be up against. And then when you think about it too, it's like, what if she was there a month ago?
Yeah. And
Like,
here's the other thing I was thinking, Marcy, is like, as these decisions are coming down, and she going, oh Lord. Oh dear
right.
God. Oh.
I was like, oh, if she could have been there. If she could have been there.
Yeah.
Like we just gotta definitely keep her lifted up because I mean, one man is enough to drive you crazy. But to have all of those surrounded and all the different aspects of their thought processes and their backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
we just gonna keep her continue what they say at church, keep her lifted up in prayer, Jesus. Lord,
Amen.
please.
Amen. Amen. Marcelina, this is a story that brought you to mind for me, and it has to do with one of your favorite forms of social media, and that is TikTok.
That is
Marcelina,
becoming my new best friend.
okay, so I would like for you to have human friends, and I guess you do as a result of
It
TikTok.
gives me laughter. It gives me something to get out of my brain on, and I like it.
Okay. Well, some people don't. And the Federal Communications Commissioner has asked Apple and Google to remove TikTok from their
What?
app stores over data security concerns.
Oh,
You may remember a few years ago during the Trump administration, Donald Trump was talking about security and being concerned about it. Well, Brendan Carr, one of the FCC's commissioners, shared via Twitter a letter that he wrote to the CEO of Apple and the Alphabet CEO. And it pointed to reports and other developments that made TikTok non compliant with their company, with the App Store policies. And so they are really concerned about the data security that people who use TikTok may be opening up their data and exposing it to the dark side, to the dark web.
but isn't I mean everything we do is exposed at this point, and you're only worried about TikTok. I
Well,
mean, I could be on my phone talking about anything, or how like man, I'm hungry. I wish I had some chilies, and then the next thing I know, I got ads
right.
rolling and scrolling up and down my phone. So if you're worrying about the privacy of TikTok, you need to be worried about privacy of everything as a whole. It's crazy how it's almost you feel like you're being watched. You can't do anything without it popping up on their phone. It's like
Right.
eyes are on you at all times.
I
So
think
I
that a
don't know
part
what
of it,
data is at risk, but
well,
I
they
mean
do have
everything we do.
information according to BuzzFeed News. They do have information, recordings of TikTok employee statements indicated engineers in China had access to U.S. data for several months before it was discovered. And they said, like global companies, TikTok has engineered all of this information and used it to the advantage of the Chinese, which is right now one of our enemies. So
Mhm.
and I think especially because it's so popular with young people and children, that they are concerned that not only will their information be compromised, but those who they come in contact with, their parents, their aunts and uncles and grandparents and what have you.
Mhm.
Um, but you say, oh, the hell with it. They're going to get it anyway. So I might as well just keep having fun. And tell people what your TikTok handle is, by the way.
Um, it is. You do this to me every time.
Is it the same as Instagram?
It no, it's I think it's pretty fat 412. That's what it
Okay.
is.
Okay. So pretty fat PHAT.
PRETTY PHAT 412.
Okay. All right. So you just gonna say,
I'm
oh,
more of a voyeur on TikTok. I have started to do videos. My intent with TikTok was something totally different because when I watched it during COVID, these people were living fabulous lives during COVID, and I was absolutely tore down wretched. So I was kind of trying to live through them and be like, wow, I want to eat. Wow, they're watching TV while they're enjoying their COVID. Like, and I wasn't. And
mm-hmm.
I wanted to do like a little dialogue, but it didn't turn into that. It was so I'm more of a voyeur. I like to look and watch and do, and now I'm making more videos. But just follow me if you want to.
And but Marcelina, you also expose yourself in such a way that's very brave. I think that something that you share with people, and I am obviously not of that generation, but I admire you for the way that you do share yourself on TikTok.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to be more visible and do more and say more, but so many other people like they're really good at, and I need to get that out of my head. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're really good at executing their videos. They do so much, and I mean, I think sometimes maybe just that 1 minute conversation to somebody who might need it, will benefit. So I have to get out of my own head and do what I should do.
Was there someone or some ones that kind of brought you to that point by watching them on TikTok and you said, I want that or I can do that?
I think no, well, yeah, I like to be able to kind of go back and forth sometime with my opinion versus their opinion, but that comes from being in radio.
Mm-hmm.
So with not having been in radio now for a few years, um, you don't always get that back and forth that you used to get, and
Right.
that the exchange of ideas that you used to get, and being at home alone during COVID, the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
you long for that. So I think that's what COVID brought out. Like, "Ah, I want to talk about it too. So it brought me back to that, and then I end up being more of a voyeur of it, and then I'm like, no, wait, I got to say something about this. So yeah.
Got it. Marcelina, I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties today. I appreciate your being a real trooper and sticking with us, as well as participating in the conversation with Sophia Nelson. And once again, we want to thank Sophia and encourage people to go out and get her book, Be the One You Need, Sophia A. Nelson, as well as we're going to get a copy to you, Marcelina. And we close with our daily inspiration and Yogi's Jewels. There's a time for everything, a time to mourn and a time to dance. We dance. And we thank you, Marcelina, for participating. Thanks, everybody, for sticking with us today. And we'll see you
Thank
again
you.
soon. Be safe out there. Have a great holiday.